After a few months, you both returned to Seoul, and the city felt unfamiliar yet welcoming at the same time. Your company, which you had built from the ground up with sleepless nights and endless sacrifices, was standing stronger than ever. Your manager, who was also your best friend, had handled everything in your absence with remarkable dedication. The moment you stepped back into your cabin, the familiar scent of success and responsibility wrapped around you. Jungkook followed you quietly, carrying file, still adjusting to the fact that he was no longer just your partner but officially your assistant. You took your seat behind the large glass desk, scanning reports while Jungkook stood beside you, slightly nervous but trying not to show it. You smiled softly and said, "You did well while I was gone," you said, referring to your manager. He chuckled lightly and replied, I mostly just followed instructions and tried not to mess things up," making you shake your head as you told him he was underestimating himself again. Again, 4 months passed in a blur of meeting, late night work, shared lunches, and stolen smiles across conference tables. Then, one afternoon, without any warning, the calm atmosphere of your office shattered when the doors barged open. Your parents walked in, your father's face dark with fury and disbelief. Jungkook was seated across from you, reviewing documents, and immediately stood up in shock. Your father's voice thundered through the room as he demanded, "Is it true?" You leaned back in your chair, unflinching, and calmly asked, "Is what true?" Your mother looked at you with disappointment while your father snapped, "That you made him the CEO? That you named your penthouse after him?" Jungkook's head snapped towards you, his eyes widening. What are you talking about?" he whispered, stunned. You stood up slowly, meeting your father's gaze head on, and said firmly, "Yes, I did. This is my company. I earned it. I built it. And I will decide who deserves the what." Your father's anger escalated as he slammed his hand on your desk, shouting that you had lost your mind, that you were throwing away everything for a man who had nothing. Jungkook tried to intervene, his voice shaky as he said, "Sir, I didn't even know about this. I never asked for." But you cut him off gently, turning towards him with a soft smile before facing your father again. "This is my wedding gift to him," you said without hesitation. "We are getting married in a month." The room fell silent for a second before your father let out a bitter laugh. "You will regret this for the rest of your life," he said coldly, pointing at you. "Mark my words." Without another glance, your parents turned and walked out, the doors closing behind them with a heavy finality. The moment they left, the strength you had been holding on to loosened just a little. Jungkook looked at you, still in disbelief, running a hand through his hair as he said, This is too much, Ryan. I don't even have experience to be a CEO. I'm not ready for something like this." You stepped closer to him, placing your hands on his chest, and replied softly but confidently, "You don't have to be perfect right now. You will learn. Until then, you can work like this by my side." He sighed, his shoulders relaxing slightly, and said with a small smile, "After marriage, I'll keep working, gain experience slowly, and then you and I will take a long vacation." He raised an eyebrow playfully, and he continued, his voice lighter now, "And you will take care of our future kids while I learn how to be worthy of everything you have given me." You laughed despite everything, the sound easing the heaviness in the room. Jungkook pulled you into his arms without warning, holding you tightly as if grounding himself. He rested his forehead against yours and confessed softly, "I love you. I promise I'll never make you regret choosing me." Your arms wrapped around him instinctively, your heart full yet fragile, believing, at least in that moment, the love was enough to conquer everything. In the present, you slowly wipe the tears from your cheeks with the back of your trembling hand, your chest aching as if someone had pressed a heavy stone against it. Your breathing was uneven, shallow, and broken when you finally whispered to yourself, your voice barely audible in the silent room. Choosing him over my family was the biggest mistake of my life. The words tasted bitter on your tongue, heavier than any punishment you had endured so far. Your hand instinctively went to your baby bump, fingers cuddling protectively as another tear slipped down. You closed your eyes, memories clashing violently inside your head. Love, sacrifice, betrayal, all blending into one unbearable regret. The door creaked open gently, and Hari stepped inside carrying a small plate of food. Her eyes softened the moment she saw your condition. She walked towards you slowly and sat beside you, placing the plate in front of you. "You haven't eaten properly since evening," she said carefully, trying not to sound commanding. You shook your head weakly and replied, "I'm not hungry, Hari. I don't feel like eating anything." Hari sighed deeply, her own eyes glistening as she picked up a spoon and brought it closer to your lips. "You may not feel hungry, but the baby needs food," she said firmly yet lovingly. "Please, at least for the child." Your lips trembled as at her word, and after a moment of hesitation, you nodded faintly. As you forced yourself to take a few bites, tears continued to fall into your lap, your body shaking with silent sobs. After a while, you pushed the plate away and whispered, "I can't stay here anymore." Harry looked at you sharply, alarm flashing across her face. "What do you mean?" she asked. You swallowed hard and said in a broken voice, "I will leave tomorrow." Harry immediately held your hands, panic and concern lacing her tone. "Leave? Where will you go in this condition?" You looked up at her slowly, your eyes filled with pain yet determination. "I will go to my family," you replied. Harry froze. "Your family?" she repeated softly. You nodded, your voice cracking as you continued. "I will beg them. After 8 years, I will beg them to forgive me. I will accept whatever punishment they give me. I deserve it." Your shoulders shook as you added, "I was blind. I thought love was enough. I chose the wrong person, Harry. I chose Jungkook over them, and now I see how big that mistake was." Harry tried to interrupt, saying, "But what if they—" You shook your head immediately, gripping her hand tighter. "I don't care," you said firmly, despite the tears. "Even if they close the door on my face, even if they insult me, I will still beg. But I won't give birth to my child in this house. Not here. Not under their cruelty." Your hand moved again to your baby bump, your voice softening as you whispered, "My child doesn't deserve this. I don't want my baby to grow up hearing insults, seeing hatred, being treated like a mistake." Hari broke down completely at that point, pulling you into her arms. "You shouldn't have to go through this," she cried. "You loved him. You sacrificed everything for him." You rested your head against her shoulder and murmured painfully, "Love shouldn't hurt like this. If it does, then it was never love." The room fell silent again, except for the sound of your muffled sobs, the weight of your decision settling heavily on your heart. And in that silence, you knew, no matter how hard it would be, you had to leave for yourself and for the life growing inside you. The next morning arrived far too quietly, the sky pale and indifferent as if it had no idea a life was about to fracture beyond repair. You stepped out of the house with slow, deliberate movements, a small bag clutched tightly in your hand, the fabric biting into your trembling fingers. Inside that bag was all you had allowed yourself to take: some documents, a few clothes, and the fragile courage you had forced yourself to gather overnight. Your other hand instinctively rested on your baby bump, as if shielding the tiny life inside you from the cruelty you were about to face. Each step towards the front yard felt heavier than the last, but you kept moving. Your spine straight even as your heart felt like it was collapsing inward. That was when you saw them. Jungkook and Suzy stood near the garden, bathed in the soft morning light, laughing quietly as if the world hadn't burned to ashes behind them. Suzy's hand rested possessively on his arm. Her hand tilted towards him as she whispered something that made him smile, an easy, carefree smile you hadn't seen in months. It felt like a blade slicing straight through your chest. Your breath hissed, your vision blurred for a moment, but you refused to cry. Not here, not in front of them. You lowered your gaze and took another step forward, determined to leave without saying a word. Where do you think you're going? Jungkook's voice cut through the air sharply, stopping you in your tracks. You froze for a second before slowly turning around to face him. Your face was pale but composed, your eyes tired rather than tearful. I'm leaving, you said quietly, your voice steady despite the storm raging inside you. I won't live here anymore. Suzy raised an eyebrow, amused, while Jungkook let out a low laugh that dripped with mockery. Leaving, he repeated, as if the word itself was ridiculous. And where exactly do you plan to go? You lifted your chin, refusing to let him see your fear. I'm going to my parents' house. That was when both of them laughed, loud, cruel laughter that echoed in the open space of the yard. Jungkook stepped closer, his eyes cold as he looked you up and down. Try, he said dismissively. I won't stop you, but do you really think your family will accept you after you chose me over them? His lips curved into a sneer. After you humiliated them, after you ran away like a rebellious little girl. Susie crossed her arms, her smile sharp. They probably slammed the door on your face the moment you left, she added casually. High-class families don't forgive disgrace so easily. Jungkook continued mercilessly, his words striking exactly where it hurt most. You threw away everything for me, your family, your status, your pride, and now look at you. His gaze flicked to your baby bump with unmistakable contempt. Pregnant, alone, and helpless. You have no money, no home, no one. Your heart pounded violently, but you refused to let your tears fall. You clenched your fist instead. I'll manage, you said, your voice barely above a whisper yet unwavering. Jungkook laughed again, shaking his head. No, you won't. He leaned closer, his tone dark and deliberate. I blocked all your accounts last night, every single one. He glanced at Susie, who smiled smugly. She will be using them now. You don't need money anymore, remember? You are not my wife. You are nothing. Susie stepped forward, her eyes gleaming with satisfaction. Be thankful, she said cruelly. At least we let you walk out on your own feet. Jungkook gestured lazily towards the gate. Go on, he said. Your father's house is only 20 minutes away. Go and beg them. Let's see how far you get. His voice dropped to a dangerous murmur. You will come back. You always will, because you have nowhere else to go. They laughed together, unbothered, victorious, as if your pain was nothing more than entertainment. You stood there for a moment longer, absorbing every word, every insult, every cruel truth he wanted to crave into your soul. Then, without saying another word, you turned around and walked away. Each step away from the penthouse felt like walking through fire, but you didn't look back, not even once. You walked slowly towards the towering gates of your politician father's house, each step heavier than the last. Your feet ached, your body exhausted, but nothing compared to the tight, suffocating pain in your chest. One hand clutched the small bag you carried, the other protectively held your baby bump. as if reminding yourself that you were not completely alone. The grand mansion stood exactly as it had 8 years ago, unchanged, unshaken, proud, while you felt like a stranger standing before it. The moment you reached the gate, two guards stepped forward instinctively, their expressions shifting from professional alertness to pure shock the second they recognized you. "Ma'am," one of them said hesitantly, his eyes widening as they scanned your face, then dropping to your visible pregnant form. "Is it really you?" You nodded weakly, swallowing the lump in your throat. "Yes," you said softly, "it's me." The second guard exchanged a glance with the first, clearly uncomfortable. "Ma'am, you shouldn't be here," he said carefully. "Your father, he made it very clear years ago. He doesn't want—" He stopped himself, lowering his voice. "He won't allow you inside." Your heart clenched painfully at his words, but you didn't turn away. Instead, you took a shaky step forward, your voice breaking despite your efforts to stay composed. "Please," you said, almost whispering, "I know I don't deserve it. I know I hurt him, but I have nowhere else to go." Your hand tightened over your baby bump. "I'm carrying his grandchild. Please, just let him know I'm here." The guards looked torn. One of them sighed deeply, rubbing the back of his neck. "Ma'am, you don't understand how angry he was when you left," he said. "He ordered us never to let you step inside this house again. If we disobey, I'll take full responsibility." You interrupted desperately. "Punish me, throw me out yourself if he say no. But please don't send me away without even letting him know I came." Your voice cracked, tears finally spilling despite your resolve. "I'm begging you." Silence stretched painfully between the three of you. The first guard looked at your trembling hands, your tear-stained face, then at your swollen belly. His expression softened. "Wait here," he finally said quietly. "I'll inform sir. I can't promise anything." You nodded repeatedly, your legs almost giving out as you stepped back near the gate. Minutes felt like hours as you stood there, your mind racing with fear. What if he refused? What if he shut the door on you the same way Jungkook had shattered your life? You wrapped your arms around yourself, trying to hold together what little strength you had left. The guard returned after what felt like an eternity. His face was unreadable. "Sir," said he, paused, watching your reaction closely. "You may enter." Your breath hissed sharply. He said, "I can come in?" You asked, disbelief and hope colliding painfully inside your chest. "He didn't come out," the guard clarified. "He only said to let you inside, that's all." That was enough. You nodded, whispering a broken thank you as tears streamed freely down your cheeks. The gate slowly opened, the familiar path unfolding before you like a memory you weren't sure you were allowed to touch anymore. As you walked inside, every corner reminded you of the girl you once were, the daughter who laughed freely, the sister who was protected, the woman who believed love could conquer everything. With every step towards the house, your heart pounded harder, fear and regret twisting together inside you. You didn't know what awaited you beyond those doors: anger, silence, rejection, or forgiveness. But you knew one thing with painful clarity. This was the last place left where you could still hope to protect your unborn child, even if it meant facing the consequences of the choice that had destroyed your life. You stepped fully into the vast living room, and the moment you did, time seemed to freeze. Everyone was there, your mother seated rigidly on the sofa, your elder sister standing near the window with her hand covering her mouth, your younger sister frozen in shock, and both your elder brothers standing side by side, eyes wide and unreadable. For a brief second, their faces mirrored the same emotions: overwhelm, disbelief, pain. Everyone except one man, your father, stood in the center of the room, his posture stiff, his expression cold, untouched by surprise or pity. "What are you doing here?" he asked sharply, his voice slicing through the heavy silence like a blade. The sound of his voice was enough to break you. Your knees weakened, your body trembling as tears spilled uncontrollably down your face. You took a few shaky steps forward and fell to your knees in front of him. "Appa," you cried, your voice cracking beyond repair. "I know I was wrong. I know I hurt you, but please forgive me. I have come back because I have nowhere else to go." Your mother stood up abruptly. "You," her voice trembled, eyes darting to your swollen belly. "You're pregnant." Your elder sister whispered your name in disbelief, tears pooling in her eyes. But before anyone could move closer, your father let out a scoffing laugh, cold, humorless, cruel. "Forgiveness," he said mockingly. "You choose your boyfriend over your family, over your blood. You made your choice 8 years ago." You shook your head desperately. "I choose love," you sobbed. "I thought he loved me too, but he cheated on me. He turned abusive. He humiliated me, hurt me, throwing words at me like I was nothing." Your hands trembled as you clutched your baby bump. "He even called my child a mistake, his own child." A sharp gasp escaped your younger sister. "What?" she whispered, tears rolling freely now. Your elder brother Suho clenched his fist. "Wyan, did he touch you?" he asked hoarsely. Before you could answer, your father raised his hand. "Enough," he snapped. "I don't care what that man did to you. You are no longer part of this family." You crawled forward on your knees, desperation overtaking dignity. You turned to your mother first, grabbing her dress lightly. "Oma, please," you begged. "I'll do anything. I'll clean the house, cook, stay invisible. Just don't send me back there. I don't want my child to be born in that hell." Your mother's lip trembled. "You know your father," she whispered helplessly, tears falling. "I can't go against him." You turned to your elder sister, gripping her hand. "Onni, please," you cried. "You are a mother too. You know what it felt like. Help me." Your sister, Yura, broke down completely, covering her face. "I want to," she sobbed. "God knows I do, but he'll destroy us all if we defy him." You moved to your brothers next, clutching their sleeves. "Oppa, I'm your sister, your princess," you said brokenly. "I'm carrying a life. Please, just one corner. I'll never ask for more." Suho and Subin, they looked away. Guilt acted deeply on their faces. Subin whispered, "I'm sorry." So quietly it felt like another one. Finally, you turned back to your father, crawling until you were right in front of him. With shaking hands, you grabbed his leg, pressing your forehead against his knee. "Please, Appa," you cried uncontrollably. "I was wrong. I admit it. Punish me, scold me, hate me. But don't throw me out like this. I'm your daughter." His face hardened further, if that was even possible. "You are nothing to me," he said flatly. "I lost my daughter the day she ran away from her wedding." You sobbed loudly now, clinging tighter. "Please, Appa, please." He stepped back sharply. "Security," he barked. Two guards rushed in immediately. Your mother cried out your name. Your sisters wept openly, but no one stopped him. The guards grabbed your arms, pulling you up despite your resisting. "No, please don't do this," you screamed, your hand instinctively protecting your belly. "Please, I'll die there." "Take her out," your father ordered coldly. "She is not to step foot in this house again." As they dragged you towards the door, your cries echoed through the mansion that once felt like heaven. Your family watched helplessly, shattered and silent. As you were thrown out onto the ground like a stranger, the door slammed shut behind you, and just like that, you were left alone, disowned, broken, and 9 months pregnant, realizing too late that love had betrayed you and blood had abandoned you. You had no options left, no money, no home, no food, no protection. With your body aching, your heart hollow, and your unborn child pressing heavily inside you, you returned to the very hell you had sworn never to step into again. The penthouse Once yours, once filled with warmth and promise, now felt hostile, like it rejected your presence the moment you crossed the threshold. The door creaked open slowly, your hand trembling on the handle as you stepped inside. The sound of laughter hit you first, sharp, carefree, cruel. The living room lights were dimmed, and the large screen glowing softly. Jungkook and Suzy were sprawled on the couch, her head resting on his chest, his arm lazily wrapped around her waist. A movie played in the background, forgotten because the moment they noticed you standing there, everything else became irrelevant. Susie was the first to laugh. Oh my god, she giggled, sitting up straighter. Look, who's back? Jungkook tilted his head, eyes scanning you slowly from head to toe. Your small back, your swollen belly, your pale face, a smoke curved his lips. That was fast, he said mockingly. What happened? Didn't Daddy open his arms for you? You stood there silently, your fingers clutching the strap of your bag, your lips trembling but refusing to break. You had cried enough for one lifetime. Susie stood up, walking towards you with exaggerated pity. "Aw," she coughed. "I told him you would come back, didn't I?" She turned to Jungkook, laughing again. "She has nowhere else to go." Jungkook chuckled darkly. "Of course she came back," he said coldly. "Where else would you go? You are pregnant, broke, abandoned. You need this place. You need me." You swallowed hard, forcing yourself to speak. "I just need a place to stay," you said quietly. "I won't disturb you. I—" Before you could finish, Jungkook stood up abruptly, his expression shifting in a heartbeat. The amusement vanished, replaced by a raw anger. Without warning, he strode towards you and kicked your knees hard. You cried out as your legs gave away, crashing painfully onto the floor. The shock knocked the breath out of you, your hands instantly moving to protect your belly as tears spilled uncontrollably. "Get it through your head," he snapped, crouching down to your level, gripping your chin roughly and forcing you to look at him. "You're not a guest here." Susie crossed her arms, watching with satisfaction. "From tomorrow," Jungkook continued coldly, "you will be treated like a maid in this house. You will clean, you will cook, you will serve us. And don't think for a second that pregnancy will save you." You shook your head weakly. "Please, how could you, Jungkook? I'm carrying your child." He laughed cruelly. "I don't care," he said flatly. "You should have thought about that before leaving, before begging your family, before humiliating me." Susie crouched beside him, her smile venomous. "At least we are kind enough to let you stay," she added mockingly. "Food and a roof, that's more than you deserve, right?" You sobbed silently, your tears soaking the floor as your shoulders shook. You didn't fight back, you didn't argue. There was nothing left to defend. Jungkook stood up, dusting off his hands as if touching you disgusted him. "Get up," he ordered. "Your room is still the same small one. Don't show your face unless you're told to." He turned back towards the couch, wrapping an arm around Susie again as if nothing had happened. The movie resumed. Their laughter followed you like poison as you slowly struggled to your feet, every step heavy, every breath painful. You walked away silently, knowing you had returned not to a home, but to a prison where love had turned into cruelty, and survival was the only thing left keeping you standing.